The ending of Bleach has arrived. Now, whether or not you have watched the first 3 episodes in theaters during the last week of June 2026, it is fine because I'm basically going to be TheoryCrafting the episodes after those first 3 episodes. And to some extent, the episodes that actually did get aired there. That would be episodes 407 and beyond. I believe that would probably end up being 407 until 420, more than likely. And this is to do with me wanting to predict how the show will end to some extent. I know this is very difficult to predict at this point, but the last several months I've been thinking about how it's very curious that we have 13 episodes left to defeat 4 people, basically. We have Pernita and Lily Barrow having been defeated during the 3rd part of the 1,000-year Blood War. And now all we have left are Gerard, Valkyrie, Askin, and, of course, Hashwals and Yuhabaha. Now, of these members, it does seem like the show is getting ready to deal with Askin the most, I would say. Only because he was in the middle of his fight with Yoruichi. And Yoruichi was not doing the best against him. But it was very clear that that was the fight that was actually going somewhere. Whereas it is very difficult to say where Gerard's fight's going, since he's already been killed once or twice, I think. And Yuhabaha, of course, is going to be the final fight. And Hashwals is interesting because I would think he's going to be the second to last person to be defeated, but it is very difficult to understand exactly what he can do. And then, yeah, Askin, of course, I still don't understand his ability, but he is currently fighting Yoruichi. I'll just mention it right now. Bit of a spoiler. Technically, all of this can be considered spoilers, even if it's theory crafting. This first thing is actually known because I did watch the first 3 episodes, and that is that it is mostly focused on the fight against Askin and Yoruichi, and drumroll, Urahara, which I was not expecting at all. I really didn't think that he would be the one that would be paired with Askin. In fact, I kind of didn't think that Urahara was going to fight. I have been aware that he would use his Bankai sooner or later. However, I actually kind of thought that he was going to use it in like the Hell arc, or some post main story Bleach moment. It's really funny that I actually wasn't expecting him to show up, and then he also uses Bankai. I'm like, oh, it's now. This is the moment. Wow. I was very impressed. The direction of the Askin Urahara fight was completely unpredictable, and I think they did a very, very nice and subtle job of portraying how Urahara thinks and operates without straight up telling you. I know they did tell us like he's just making backup plans on backup plans, but there's the subtler parts of this survival instinct that is at the core of his character. Like, up to this point, I would have said that he was much more of a scientist and a plotter, which is what a lot of people would call him, but with some subtlety in the animations and the line delivery, I got the feeling that it was much more about doing everything he can to survive and not much more. It's kind of weird to say that he isn't actually that smart. He obviously is, but it's kind of a intelligence focused around, let's say, setting up a trap for an enemy in a wartime zone. It does take intelligence to set the trap. It does take intelligence to maybe even make the trap. But at the end of the day, the importance is that the trap was set. There wasn't some big overarching plan or anything. It was just that you made a trap, and then you made another trap, and maybe another trap, and you hope that those things would ensure your survival. Not that you thought that they would react this way or that way, the way that, for instance, Aizen would actually have a specific plan, and then when that plan gets deviated, he can adjust, but he isn't the best at adjusting, I would actually say. He just hopes that his overwhelming power will win the day, whereas Urahara just will assume his plan's probably gonna work, but just in case, he'll set up as many other plans as he could. That's why it's kind of obnoxious, in my opinion, when you get to the end of the Aizen fight in the original run of the show, and Aizen believes that Urahara is of somewhat equal intelligence as himself, and in reality, Urahara is just very focused on his goals, but is, I think now conclusively, not very good at assessing his own morality. He just wants to survive, and he doesn't really have, for instance, his own political beliefs, I would say. He just wants to keep the status quo, as was shown by the fact that he did go after Aizen, because he doesn't want to risk whatever plan that Aizen wants. But there's nothing deeper than that. He doesn't have a deep philosophy compared to Aizen, who does. And I like that. Like, we don't need two plotters in this show. We just need Aizen, in my opinion. But yeah, everything with the Urahara fight was done very well. I do wish that they could elaborate more on his Bankai, but I guess that's why you have theory crafting, and you can kind of think more about it as the years go on, perhaps. Maybe there's more info that I'm not aware of. But that's the only thing that I'm 100% sure about, of course. Meanwhile, during these episodes, you have Ishida versus Hashwalls, which I was very unclear about where we were going here. So at one point, it's being said that Hashwalls has Yuhabaha's power while Yuhabaha is asleep. But then it's revealed later that he wasn't asleep in that moment, and yet Hashwalls still had the power. And so it's kind of being implied that maybe either Yuhabaha just doesn't need the power to fight Ichigo at that moment, or maybe the powers are being split in some other uncertain way. It's also weird because Yuhabaha is awake, therefore you would think Hashwalls should have no powers at this point, or none of Yuhabaha's powers, but he seems to have them. Very weird. I kind of have no opinions on Hashwalls at this point. I want to know more about him, but the show definitely wants to keep him under wraps. And I was just mostly entertained by Ishida's very unique animations, fighting style. Obviously, as usual, he's trying to be as analytical of his opponent as possible. But I would be surprised if Ishida ends up winning in a straight 1v1 with Hashwalls. Hashwalls just seems like he has the advantage when it comes to pure power. And Ishida looked like he was kind of on his last leg. So my best guess would just be that something in the Ichigo versus Yuhabaha fight will change so that it somehow gives Ishida the advantage. However, of course, we do have Ishida's antithesis power, which, I mean, I suppose he could just be holding on to that until the last moment for the Uno reverse. I just call it the Uno reverse power. It's the easiest way to think of it. I have actually heard some people complain about this power, I guess, about it not being too clear about what it does or something. I don't think that it needs to be thought of very much, because I think the only time that we've ever seen it, which was against that one member of the Royal Guard, he I thought explained it very well. He just reflects the damage that was going to be done to him back to the person who was doing the damage to him. That's it. Uno reverse. That's it. So again, I just assume he's going to activate that at the end of the fight, and that's it. But it does seem very boring, all things considered, if that's all that happens. That's kind of all I can say about that, I guess. Yeah, that's like the only two possibilities I can think of. So, next we have, well, we'll just say Yhwach. I am assuming Yhwach will be fighting Ichigo for a bit longer. I have to assume Ichigo is going to lose, only because he just seems to have activated his true power at the last moment, I should say. And obviously, Yhwach is not going to die right now. He's going to go until the end of the season. Therefore, I'm going to say that he somewhat achieves his goal against Ichigo. I'm a little unclear exactly what he's trying to do with Ichigo. Obviously, he wants some of Ichigo's power, because Ichigo himself is a representation of what the Soul King is. Just a combination of all life forms, or all intelligent life forms. I mean, I've known this since, I don't know, probably at least since before the fight with, the final fight with Aizen, because I was just like, huh, Ichigo sure has every single thing you could possibly combine in the world. Kind of seems like he could be the Soul King. And then, you know, once he reached, you know, godlike power alongside Aizen, it was like, okay, yeah, that's clearly what they were going for here. But then, you know, I didn't think that they were going to go all the way up to the Soul King in a 1,000-Year Blood War, actually. I actually thought that we would never see the Soul King. Hopefully we get a bit more backstory on him. But, yeah, obviously Yhwach can't just attain godhood purely through his Quincy powers. Quincy's just a Quincy at the end of the day, and Ichigo has, you know, every one of these powers within himself. So I would assume that Yhwach will have to absorb all these powers to some extent, like just take a portion of Ichigo's power, I guess. I don't know exactly how or anything, but when that happens, I guess then Ichigo will be saved by somebody and escape. But meanwhile, Yhwach will get a little bit stronger, and his powers will probably even out, because right now he kind of just looks like a goopy mess, because he can't really properly control the powers that he absorbed from the Soul King. But I don't know how much that's going to help him, because at the end of the day, Ichigo was a being that lived with these powers his whole life, you know, even if he didn't actually have them activated. But his, you know, body is definitely adjusted to all of these powers combined within him, whereas Yhwach, even if he does absorb these powers, doesn't seem like he'll be a complete being, I would think. I do know that Aizen's going to show up sooner or later. You know, I would have said that even if we hadn't seen as much of him as we've seen already. But now, is there an idea that Aizen is going to save Ichigo? Like I said, somebody's got to save Ichigo. And all of the captains seem to be pretty busy fighting Gerard. So I am going to have to say that Aizen saves Ichigo, which does sound like a very dramatic thing to happen. Although I don't know why Aizen wouldn't just immediately fight Yhwach at that moment. So again, I am very unclear how this will turn out to be 13 episodes. But yeah, so yeah. Ichigo's power gets absorbed a bit. Aizen saves him a bit. They reassess what's going on. Maybe Aizen has a backstory explanation, at least about himself and or the Soul King and or about Yhwach after saving Ichigo. They could do that for an episode or two, and then the final fight with Ichigo and Aizen fighting against Yhwach happens, I guess. I think it would just be them three fighting. That's my best guess. that could be 2 episodes maybe on its own. So that's my guess on Yhwach's fight. I know it's kind of funny to go all in on Yhwach not last, but I don't think Yhwach is a very fun villain. I think everybody around Yhwach is a much more interesting character. I was very impressed by Askin's personality by the end. Even Pernita was surprisingly very interesting. I was not expecting Pernita to be as interesting as he was. And Lilybaro, he was probably the most boring, but not in a bad way, just boring in a I am a loyal henchman type of way. And Gerard is just a normal guy. So we get to Gerard. He's the Miracle, Mr. Miracle. I don't know how you kill this guy. I would assume that you have to just blow him away, every single part of him, completely. Maybe. And I mean, even then, he could maybe survive by some miracle, right? So there was a lot of really great parts of his fight in those first 3 episodes. We only saw a little bit here and there, but they added up to being enough to show me that he is not going to die by any conventional means at all. That combo attack that the Vizord crew used together, their Pride Beam attack, was quite interesting to watch. That went about as I expected, because I was like, oh cool, they're attacking together, and let me guess, it's not going to work. Yep. Oh man, they got really owned right there. It was really great, but it was very entertaining to watch Gerard just plow through all these guys like this. But yeah, it does make you wonder, well, where are we going with this guy from here? Now that we have Hitsugaya and Byakuya joining the fray, but not really being effective at this moment. I'd be surprised if Hitsugaya wasn't more useful in this fight. I think he will be integral to some extent, just because he did get kind of revived from the dead just for this fight, and he is a fan favorite, so I think he'll be key, but I don't think Byakuya will matter. Oh yes, but this does seem to be shaping up to be a Zaraki fight to some extent. Of course, Zaraki at this point I think is just the type of character who either wins or doesn't win. There's not much in between. If his attacks are effective, then they're going to continue being effective and he'll win. And if they're not effective, then it's just not going to work, right? Maybe there will be like some combination of abilities that end up taking Gerard down, but I just don't see it at this point. Possibly Shinji will become relevant again, I would hope. I mean, you would think that him keeping Gerard, let's call it dizzy, would go a long way, but who knows, right? At this point, we do have an interesting idea. I mean, it seems a little silly, right? But Soifan does have the 2-hit kill. You would think the 2-hit kill could kill him. Conventional wisdom would tell you that that will not happen. Just because she's eternally a joke, right? But at the end of the day, that's an ability that definitely could work. It would be really funny if everybody's just so busy and then she just kind of shows up at the end and just insta wins. I actually would be perfectly fine with that, but yeah, understandably it would not be very interesting to watch in that case. So yeah, at this point I'm gonna say Zaraki for sure is the main focus, and then after that, no, I can't think of anything else. I think that this is going to be the fight where Zaraki just has to step up and really show off. I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about because we've been seeing him, doing so well in so many fights so far, I would say. I mean, well, no, I shouldn't say that. He's gotten kind of joked on here and there. He got beaten by the Bambiettes or whatever. I know that he was tired, but still. I did really like his fight with Gremmy, even if it was a little weird in some ways. But Gremmy was a weird guy in the first place. So yeah, I think this is going to be the straightforward fight where you just have to hit muscle with muscle. I think it's just going to be that straightforward. And maybe if Gerard just keeps getting whacked around enough, his miracles just kind of stop happening because, there's only so many miracles you can manifest. Even if you are magically blessed, I suppose. So, we still haven't seen actually what Zaraki's Zanpakuto can do. I think at this point it's confirmed maybe that his sword is only in Shikai right now. I don't think he's going to go to Bankai. But we don't know what his Shikai's ability is. I would just say it's destructive power. I think he could just swing his sword hard enough to completely obliterate something. That is certainly possible, just with his raw Reijutsu. And at the end of the day, Gerard does have the heart of the Soul King. Therefore, logically, if you could hit his heart with a destructive enough force and destroy his heart, then that would kill him, logically. I know that we're talking about miracles here, but still, the heart is the core of his being in more ways than one. So, yeah, it's just a little lame to just say he's just gonna get knocked around by Zaraki until he dies, but that's my guess. I mean, I think we will see a bit more fighting from the other captains, and again, I still do think that Hitsugaya will matter in this fight, but yeah, beyond that, again, it's very difficult to ascertain exactly how much damage Gerard is taking. He got frozen for a little bit by Hitsugaya, but it didn't last too long. But he did get frozen for a bit, so that is important. Maybe if they all focus their energy on one spot, again, the heart, of course, maybe that would be enough to kill him. But yeah, that's all of the Sternritters that are left. And Yuhapaha, and yeah, so it's kind of confusing. Again, like I would give Gerard probably 2 episodes and Hashwalls, I guess, 1 episode. So already right there, that's 3, and then maybe 2 backstory episodes for Aizen and or Yuhapaha. Again, I'd be really surprised if we actually got a full Aizen backstory. It seems very unlikely, but if we're getting new content, that's probably some of the most premium content you could possibly ask for. So at that point, we got 5 episodes, and then 2 final episodes for the Yuhapaha fight, and then we'll say a post-story episode. Right now, I'm only counting 8 episodes plus the 3. Okay, of the first 3 episodes, so that's 11, but still missing 2 episodes here. I'm pretty confident it's supposed to be 13 episodes, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's my best guess. I really felt like I really needed to come up with some ideas just because it's just so interesting that there's so many episodes and so few enemies. I was not expecting Askin to take as long as it did to defeat him. He was doing a lot of unexpected things, I will say that much. And again, Hashwalls, I feel like we know everything about him. That's why it kind of feels like, well, maybe he's done. Maybe he literally has half an episode and Ishida just uses his shift, and that's all there is to it. Maybe. It's hard to tell, that's for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna enjoy the last few episodes of Bleach either way. I would definitely say the 1,000-Year Blood War was not what I was expecting at all. And Yhwach is not completely a surprise. I actually did kind of think that he was going to do what he did up to this moment. If anything, I was kind of more wondering why everybody was so loyal to him. But yeah, I guess everybody just appreciates the power that they tangentially got from him, basically. But yeah, I patiently await the ending, and I'll probably end up putting together my thoughts for the ending and putting out a video, I would say. But I hope that you've enjoyed this video, or maybe compared to the ending that's going to show up in about 2 months. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.